guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, Angela Pollina is apparently upset. Gotta tell you, I'm not concerned that she's upset. And I know most of you guys aren't either. But she apparently still believes she's innocent, despite the fact that a jury of her peers found her guilty of murder in the death of Thomas Valva. So she's not a happy camper. And I'm actually totally good with that. Sorry, Angela. Alright, let's see what the update is telling us. Because she has not been sentenced just yet. Angela Pollina is not ready to accept a lengthy prison term for the 2020 murder of 8-year-old Thomas Valva, and her defense attorney said before the Center Moriches woman is scheduled to be sentenced Tuesday in a Suffolk courthouse. So yeah, she's supposed to be sentenced tomorrow, and she's not ready to accept that she's guilty. Darn. Gotta tell you, Angela, I don't feel sorry for you at all. You were a horrific person to these boys, and you tortured them in so many ways, and you were part of the reason that little Tommy is dead. So I don't feel sorry for you, and the fact that you're distraught about this, totally good with me. She's distraught, upset, bewildered, said Pollina's Huntington-based defense attorney Matthew Toohey in an interview with Newsday before his client's sentencing. Well, Mr. Toohey, I think that's the way she should be feeling, at this point. Because now she's got to deal with the consequences of her actions. She believes she's innocent. Wrong answer. You're not innocent. You are not innocent at all. She maintains she's innocent. Sounds like she's got some things to work through while she's in prison. She's upset. She's upset she remains in jail. She's upset that she hasn't been able to speak to her daughters. She's upset at the verdict. Well, maybe you should have been upset before you caused the death of Tommy and tortured Michael's children. And if you were more as concerned with them as you are about yourself right now, you wouldn't be in this situation, Angela. You really wouldn't be. A Suffolk County jury convicted Pollina, who declined a Newsday interview request through her attorney last month, of second-degree murder in Thomas's January 17, 2020, hypothermia death, and 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a child for the abuse of Thomas and his older brother Anthony, who was then 10 years old. Both boys were on the autism spectrum. Thomas froze to death after Pollina and her then-fiancé, Michael Valva, forced the boy to spend the night in the unheated garage of their Center Moriches home in freezing temperatures, 19 degrees. Thomas died of hypothermia. Supreme Court Justice Timothy Massey, who presided over Pollina's trial, is scheduled to sentence the 45-year-old former medical biller Tuesday morning. And I hope she gets the same fate Michael has, 25 years to life. That's what we're all looking for on this one. Suffolk County prosecutors have not commented on the sentence they intend to request, but Michael Valva, an ex-NYPD officer and the father of Thomas and Anthony, was sentenced last year after his conviction on the same charges to the maximum sentence, 25 years to life, which prosecutors had requested. Prosecutors are expected to seek the same sentence for Pollina. Yep, that's exactly what they want. Same. Both of them are just as guilty as the other. I can't speak for them, Toohey said of the prosecutors, but honestly, I would be shocked if they asked for anything less. Well, at least he's honest and he knows that that's just reality. Thomas's mother, Justina Zuko Valva, who is suing Suffolk County, Child Protective Services, and several individual CPS workers for $200 million for its failure to protect Thomas and Anthony, has not spoken out on social media to weigh in on Pollina's sentencing. I expect her to do that probably today or tomorrow. She usually does post on Facebook. Asked for their position on what they believe to be an appropriate sentence for Pollina, Justina Zuko Valva's Manhattan-based attorney, John Norsberg, said, "She's as guilty as Valva in our view. She should spend the rest of her life in jail." Yes, fact. And I believe she will. I really do. I think she's going to spend the rest of her life in jail. And she deserves exactly just as much as Michael. Toohey said he'll request the judge sentence his client to the minimum, 15 years to life, based on his defense strategy during her 2-week-long trial. The facts of the case: she didn't really commit the act, said Toohey. It was basically Valva who set everything into motion, basically my whole defense. Well, he tried, and you got to give it to him. He did his job as her defense attorney. He went out there and he did his job. And you know what? The same thing I say in all these cases, and we have right now, an even worse step monster on trial for the killing of little Gannon. All these folks deserve, no matter how much we hate them, dislike them, know they've done incredibly horrific acts on these children, they deserve a good attorney, defense, and a fair trial, because otherwise our system is just not working. But the system's working on this one. So she's just upset because it's not working in her favor. Prosecutors contend, however, it was Pollina who was the impetus. Almost immediately after Valva gained custody of his 3 sons, Anthony, Thomas, and Andrew, and moved in with Pollina and her 3 daughters, the abuse of Anthony and Thomas began, trial testimony showed. Pollina had little patience for the boys, who began having incontinence issues after moving in and wouldn't let them sit on the furniture. She then sent them outside to sleep in a tent on the back patio, then inside the garage, where the boys were initially given a crib mattress on which to sleep. But as text messages at trial revealed, Pollina thought the boys were too comfortable, and she repeatedly demanded that Valva punish his son severely and take away any comforts. Eventually, the boys slept on the floor of the garage without any blankets or pillows, which is what I think she needs to do in her cell. No blankets, no pillows. But unfortunately, even our jail system, our correction system, is not that horrific. They give you a blanket and a pillow. She didn't even give that to these boys. She took it away from them. Pollina frequently sent video clips of the boys in the garage to Valva through text while he worked overnight shifts as an NYPD transit cop, complaining of the boys' behavior and urging Valva to take action, trial evidence showed. When Valva argued that the boys should be allowed back in the house, Pollina told Valva pointedly to move out with his sons if he didn't approve of the setup. Text messages displayed at her trial showed. Valva, his attorneys argued, put up with the situation because of financial issues. Yeah, he had quite an opportunity, just because it was, to him, he claimed, and I put that in air quotes here, guys, he claimed he stayed there because he didn't have the money to be anywhere else. He had other choices and other ways he could have gone, and he didn't care. He just decided that's where he wanted to be. Thomas's and Anthony's school teachers testified that the boys appeared starving during their time at East Moriches Elementary School. They frequently arrived at school complaining of hunger and didn't have enough in their lunch boxes to sustain them. So desperate for food, the boys ate crumbs off the floor and stole food from other children. Thomas, crying once, told the teacher that he wasn't given breakfast because he didn't use my words or call Pollina mommy. The boys also came to school with bruises, cuts, and other injuries, the teachers said. They complained of being cold, and Anthony tried to avoid going outside for recess, even in warmer months. The teachers and school officials called Child Protective Services many times, including a group effort to flood a CPS reporting line, but the boys remained living with Valva and Pollina, testimony at the trial showed. Prosecutors also displayed video and audio evidence from an extensive home surveillance system that Pollina managed, which allowed jurors to hear most of what led up to Thomas's death. It was 19 degrees on the night before Thomas died. Valva brought his freezing son outside and hosed off the naked child from a spigot that morning after the boy had a bathroom accident. Acts that Tui said killed Thomas. As Thomas struggled against the effects of late-stage hypothermia, falling down and losing consciousness, Pollina did nothing to assist Thomas, screaming at Valva to quiet down so the neighbors wouldn't hear, prosecutors said. When one of their daughters asked why Thomas couldn't walk, according to audio captured on the surveillance system that morning, Pollina replied, "Because he's hypothermic." Thomas's body temperature was 76.1 degrees when he was pronounced dead at Long Island Community Hospital in Patchogue. Tui argued that his client tried to save Thomas's life by getting blankets and a heater that morning, but prosecutors said it was too little, too late. Bingo, exactly. She all of a sudden at the end when she realized, OMG, he might die. She all of a sudden realized, I'm going to be in big trouble. That's the only reason she responded in that way. Only reason. Despite Pollina's contention that Thomas was still alive during most of her interaction with him that morning, prosecutors argued he was likely unconscious or already dead when she first encountered him. First responders who testified about attempting life-saving efforts that morning said Thomas had no pulse and appeared blue and lifeless. The Franklin Square native, who had 3 daughters from 2 previous relationships before she got involved with Valva, attempted to shift blame to her ex-fiancé for Thomas's death. Pollina testified at her trial, a rare move for a murder defendant, admitting that she had banished the boys to the garage, and she proclaimed herself evil, using language from the depraved indifference murder charge she faced, bolstering the prosecution's argument. Yeah, she didn't help herself at all by getting on that stand. Yes, I was wrong. Yes, I was evil, Pollina said as she testified in her own defense inside a packed Riverhead courtroom. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it was right. It was evil. I put them in the garage. Yes, I did. She cried some, but under cross-examination grew testy. In interviews after the verdict was rendered, jurors said the text messages between Valva and Pollina and the video and audio evidence displayed at the trial was overwhelming evidence of Pollina's guilt. Pollina has been unable to speak to her 3 daughters, who are juveniles since she's been incarcerated per family court orders, which Tui criticized. It's crazy to me, said Tui. Family court. It's another example of our broken system. They're her daughters. Why shouldn't she? Plenty of people get convicted of acts and they're allowed to speak to their family members. Asked whether she will address the court, as many defendants do before a judge hands down their sentence, Tui said Pollina's still undecided about that right now. But it's unlikely any of her family will be in the courtroom. Her mom and dad are elderly, not in good health, and really struggling, said Tui. Many people heckled her mom and sister when they came to the trial, so I don't know. It's not that they don't want to be there to support her, but it's difficult for them. It is difficult when your daughter is a killer. She murdered a young child. And she's upset. Well, I have to say it again. I'm not upset that she's upset in the least. She deserves to be upset. She deserves every feeling that she's having right now. She's scared because she knows she's screwed. Why didn't she think about all this stuff earlier and treat these boys better? Because it was all about her, and it's still all about her. Because she's not really sorry, and she's in denial, I think, in parts of it. She just thinks, oh, it's all Michael. I didn't do anything that day. Okay. Well, honey, the jury says you're guilty, and tomorrow you're going to face sentence in front of the judge. And I pray and hope you get the 25 years to life just like your ex-fiancé did. All right, guys, that's all I've got for this one. I will cover her sentencing tomorrow in a video. And let's hope that she gets that 25 years to life. Have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.